Hello, this is Oliver Blair from Massey University in Wellington, College of Creative Arts, School of Design. I'm going to tell you a little bit about managing your files, some sort of tips on how to keep your data safe, so that when it comes to final week your hand in and you lose it, all your files, it's not the end of your project, it's not the end of your life. So, what's the first couple good ways to manage your files? Uh, There's sort of like three main ways that are really handy. One's USB sticks. I'm sure you guys know about USB sticks. They sort of look like this. So they're really handy because they're quite small, so you can carry them around with you all the time. They're relatively cheap right now. I think they're about $1 a gig, which is like super cheap. So you can get like a 10 gig stick, $10. That'll keep all your data pretty much that you're working on. Really safe. It's not a big deal if you lose it because it's only $10. So you can have multiple of them as well. So really handy. Like you could even have like one per paper, sort of in a way, or one per project. Be super handy, and they last for quite a while. There's also your USB hard drives like this. You can get ones that are powered via the USB cable, or also via external power supply, like this one here. They're really good as well because you can store a whole bunch more data on them, and they are a bit longer lasting in life as well. They're a bit more expensive per gigabyte, but the idea is that you buy one that might last a couple of years for all your stuff. There's also different versions of USB now. Well, there always was. There was the USB 2, which is the sort of older one right now. That's kind of standard. But recently USB 3's come out, or it's also sometimes called super speed. So you can get your USB sticks and your USB hard drives that come with USB 3. So what that means is that it can transfer data way faster over the super speed ports, but you need a port on your computer as well. So you need the thumb drive to support it, and also the computer to support it, and then you'll get advantage of those extra speeds. So I use that on my desktop. I've got a terabyte hard drive that just backs up all my data all the time, and I don't even notice it because it's so quick. Cool. Okay, and then there's also online storage systems as well. So like things like Dropbox.com, Google Drive, SkyDrive, etc. So Dropbox.com is pretty good. So this is my one. I'm logged in. So you can see you can access it through a web browser. Yeah, and so I've got all my folders here that I can also share with other people. So for example, if I click on that, I can go share link, and I can invite people as well to add content into it as well. So if they have another Dropbox.com account, they can sign into their one, upload files to that folder, and then I'll be able to see them as well. For example, this one I'm working on with another lecturer, a project, and we've got this video here, and you can sort of see it's a fairly large file. So that's Dropbox.com, really handy. Also, it comes with clients for your computer and for your phone and your iPad and things like that, and you can have them all syncing across each device. So yeah, it's really good. So it's like a giant USB stick in the cloud, basically, that you can access whenever you want. Cool. There's also Google Drive as well, which sort of looks like this. If I can minimize this window a little bit. Yeah, there we go. You can sort of see it looks like that. So I've got all my folders down here, and I'm sort of logged in, and I can see who has access to this folder. Because right now I'm in the spatial admin folder. Got all our files that we can share with each other, and I can see all the recent activity as well. So what's different about Google Drive is that you can share any type of file, but you can also create certain types of files like these that you can then go in and edit. For example, if I click on this, this is a list of all the hardware that we have in the spatial design department, and I can edit this all in the browser. So I can like change this content and what it is, and other people can as well. So it's a really good way to collaboratively organize files and share information and stuff. So it's like Microsoft Office, except it's all in the clouds. So for example, if I create a new document, and it will ask me if I want to share it with the same people, so all these other lecturers that are in the department, and it'll make a new file, and then I can change the name of it, can add stuff to it, change how big that text is, all that good stuff, and then it'll be shared with it'll be shared with all those same people, so they can come in and edit it as well. So super handy for really just creating any sort of document like that. So rather than having multiple sort of versions of the same file, it's all just in this one file. So you can sort of click on file and go see revision history like that, and it'll have a whole bunch of list of all the changes that I've made over time, and I can actually go back to a different version. So if I go like that, I think if I close it, then reopen it again, then make some more changes like that, and I'll delete a wee bit of this like that, and then close it again, and then reopen it, and it should show all the changes if I go revision history. Let's just put it all under the same thing, 'cause it's the same sort of time frame, but you get the idea. Really handy. So there's also another service called OneDrive. Used to be called SkyDrive. They've changed it already to be OneDrive. It's basically like a Dropbox clone, but I think you can edit stuff as well. Does it say one place for all your documents? Yeah, so you can create, edit, and share your documents all through the browser as well. Pretty sure. So that's more of the Microsoft sort of version of it. So that's the online storage services. There's also at Massey we offer the H drives for every student, staff member. So once you log into a lab computer, it should be there on the list of servers and computers on your either on your desktop or in your, if you're logging into Windows, it'll be in the computer, and then it'll say H drive there. So what is an H drive? An H drive is like a network share. So for example, this is this nifty diagram that I've found, sort of explains it. Alright, so if you imagine these workstations here, they're part of the lab computers, yeah? So they're all sort of hardwired into the Massey network, yeah, and you can access the internet through that, you can access the mail server through that, but also the file server, so that's where your H drive will be. It'll be like on that file server, it'll be a little portion of that. So everyone else has a little portion of this file server as well, and some of them are shared, so everyone can have access to it, like student shared, for example, or maybe the spatial design server, or the type server, for example. So there's different ways of setting up permissions for those files as well, but you'll have your own personal H drive on there as well. So what does that mean? It means you have to sort of be at school or at the university to access that. You can access it from home, but you have to go through a VPN, which is a virtual private network, and sort of set that all up. So it's a bit of sort of hassle. So the easiest way is to come into school and then you can access it. I think it's anywhere between 4 and 20 gigabytes, depending on what sort of user you are or when you signed up for school, or it sort of varies between students. So what I'm trying to get at is it's not that big a deal. It's like, that's like $20. You could buy a USB stick, for example, and then you can have that anywhere, anyway. And also probably the speeds that you can transfer files to and from one of these sticks is going to be higher than going through the network back and forth as well, depending on how much data you're pushing through and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, which brings me to my next sort of point, like what are each of these different options, what are they good for? Well, probably the H drives, you want to put all your really important essays and things like that. You want to back that up to the H drive, because then we've got a copy of it. But all your other stuff, like if you're working on a video, you wouldn't want to put that on the H drive because it's going to be a very big file. So you want to put that on your USB stick because it'll transfer a lot quicker. You won't have to sit there waiting for it to upload to the server, basically. It'll be a lot quicker to put it on your hard drive, and then you can work on it at home as well. And for Dropbox and Google Drive and things like that, like I said, I'd recommend using Google Drive for any collaborative documents that you're working on. Anything you want other input from other people or you want to sort of share with other people, definitely use Google Drive for that, because it's really easy and they can add comments and things like that. It's all sort of built into it. But yeah, big files that you're working on for your projects, like big Photoshop files, big video files, big digital models, things like that, you want to put on your USB sticks or your USB hard drives and carry them around with you. But you probably want to back them up either on the H drive or definitely in the cloud, like in Dropbox or something like that, or another USB is probably a really good idea as well. So, because what you want to do is you want to put all your really important stuff in all of these places. That's sort of what I'm getting at. You want to back it up across everywhere in multiple locations. So you want to have it on your computer, but also on a USB stick, and also in the cloud somewhere, and if possible, at school as well, an H drive. So that if something happens to any one of those, you can always go back to it. And what we've been doing lately for all our students in all our papers is making them have a blog as well. So you can go to something like tumblr.com and you can create a blog there for free, and then what that means is you can upload all your work to that, and that'll be sort of like a record of your work as well. So that if you do, lose your USB stick, or you get your hard drive stolen, or something breaks, then you've got a copy of that work as well. It's a really good idea. Cool. So the next thing I wanted to tell you about was sort of file naming systems. So there's a whole bunch of different ways to name your files and structure them, but what you want to do is sort of think about it before you do it, if that makes sense. But I know that's impossible, but you sort of want to sort of plan how you're going to name all your files at some point, or sort of consider it at some point. So I just found this blog, quickly searching, so you can sort of see the URL up there. I'll put that URL in the description of the video. But what it's this guy here's sort of interpretation of the best way to name your files. So he's got a whole bunch of sort of steps or rules, rules of thumb. So be descriptive. I really like this part here. Don't be cryptic. Pretend the future you will be drunk or senile or both when looking at these file names, and make the name easy to understand. So be descriptive, be consistent, use lowercase letters only, don't use special characters, use dates in your file names, use version numbers for each file you create. So he's gone quite hard out, and it sort of looks like that. So that's one way to do it. What I like to do is think about sort of how I'm going to do the whole project, for example. So I've just set up a basic sort of file system here. So you can sort of see I've got these two folders, two different projects I'm working on. So hypothetical projects. So a design project where I've got different file in here, and then I've sort of backed it up like this. So for example, I might be working on this file, sort of design stuff, and then you sort of save that, and maybe in your text editor or whatever program, generally there'll be a save a copy as function, so you can click that, and instead of going save it as this one here, I'll click on like this, for example, and I'll just change that 2 to a 3, and the April's the month I'm working in right now, the 2014 is the year I'm working in, so you can sort of see vaguely when I was working on it and where it sits in this sort of revision. Cool, so you can sort of go like that, and then I can hit Control S in this file as well, and it'll just save. So what that means is, if I close this, is that this text working here, this is always the most recent working file. That's like where the project's at right now, and all these other ones are like previous steps along that sort of journey of this project. Yeah, so that's how I like to organize my files. So it's really clear. I'm working on this one. This is like the main one, and here's older versions of that one file. And so that works for individual files, and for folders. Say if I have a website project, for example, and all the files are sort of related to each other, it's like the whole sort of folder is a project. What I like to do is back up the whole folder, especially if it's a small folder, for example, filled with heaps of text files or something like that, not heaps of digital models or something. What I generally like to do is I'll copy this and paste it again, so it's like a replica of that, and then just do that same revision thing, so 001 April 2014, and that sort of lets me know this is an older version. So if I break something in here, something doesn't work and I can't figure out what the hell's going on, I can just delete it and then go back to this earlier version, and everything will work. Yeah, so it depends on what type of project you're using, but that's generally the two kind of ways I like to do it. On a file level, like this here, and then on a folder level, like that. And then at the end of the year, what I figured out the best way to do is copy everything into a backup folder. Yeah, so just like literally everything, and then I've got everything in here. So I might, maybe this is 2013 actually. And then what I'll do is I'll make a new folder. And this will be test 2014. Yeah, and all this stuff here will be copied into there. So it's like a backup of it. Generally that's how I like to structure my files when I'm working on them. I figure that's sort of roughly the best way to do it. At the end of the year, sort of copy everything into one place. Really handy, especially when you want to find a file that you're working on like 4 years ago, and you sort of vaguely remember when it was. It's like 4 years ago, and then you can sort of track it down really easily by like going through these revisions and going, oh, it was April. Maybe it was one of these ones. It's got nothing in it, but yeah. So that's generally how you should name your files. Definitely always try and put a date in there somehow. Like I did that with the April 2014. Like that's pretty simple, just a month. I don't really care about the day because that's sort of embedded in the modified stuff. Definitely a version number, so that's 001. There's the version number. Lowercase, yeah, sure, if you want. Special characters, yeah, I don't know, it's not too much of a big deal anymore. But definitely be consistent. So, because what I often see is people going things like like number 1, final model, and then another file might be final draft copy 11 or something like that, and then everything's all jumbled up and they can never find anything. It's all sort of higgledy-piggledy. So you definitely want to be consistent. Like either way is fine, just make sure you do that one the whole time. Yeah, so that's pretty much about it. If you have any other questions, feel free to email me, or definitely call ITS or email them. And there's also lots of stuff on the internet that ITS have made as well about stuff. You can sort of ask some questions and things as well. So cool, thank you.